ears gonna hear me. Through the spirit we see clearly. They swinging that you get near me. Now your boy blowing the trumpet. I used to pull up and dump it. Toting them guns out in public. Riding on off, that was fun shit. Boy, I don't flex for the IG. Wanna go script a script, nigga, try me. Keep a scallop, but he right beside me. To break the laws of God, I don't like things.
What's going on, sister?
Just listening.
Just listening. What's your nationality, sis?
As my understanding, my father's Mexican.
Your father's Mexican? From Mexico?
Yep.
What part of Mexico?
Nesa City?
Where?
Nesa City?
You know what is that? What state is that?
Honestly, I don't know, because I'm not from there.
You never been there?
I've never been there.
All right, not a problem. Do you believe in the Bible?
I believe in its messages to a certain extent.
What messages do you believe in?
It's just certain stories that I hear. I just feel like it could relate to a lot of what's going on. You know, you can take lessons from the messages and the stories in the Bible.
Absolutely, I definitely agree. But
as far as following it myself, I can honestly say no, I don't follow it myself. But I am familiar with a few stories, and like I say, I use it and I relate to it a lot in a lot of ways. But no, I don't go to church. I don't read the Bible.
You don't got to go to church to learn the Bible. I prefer you never to go to church, actually.
I don't.
Because that's where the lies are.
Yeah,
they're gonna lie to you and get you out your money. You know?
Absolutely.
And maybe the pastor might try to make a pass at you, which is crazy.
Yes, it's happened.
Oh man, see, I into the spirit. It's crazy is going on. What you got? Yeah, give me Titus real quick. But this is why I asked you your nationality, because you said you're Mexican, right? Your father's Mexican?
Yep, my mother's black.
My mother's black? Okay, perfect. That's great. That's a perfect combination. Because both of those people are Israelites. And you're an Israelite. But we can prove it. Right. Your father's an Israelite. You're an Israelite. Your mother's an Israelite. Where you at? Let's talk about the pastor real quick. Titus 1 and yeah, give me that.
This is Titus 1:10. It says, "For there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers."
And deceivers, read.
"Especially they of the circumcision."
What nationality was the pastor? He was black. He's part of the circumcision. If you're black, Hispanic, Native American, hold on. According to the Bible, by history, archaeology, and prophecy, we can prove that the blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans are Israelites. So that Israelite pastor is part of the circumcision according to the Bible. Go ahead.
"Whose mouths must be stopped."
His mouth must be stopped, because why? He's a liar, read.
"Who subvert whole houses."
He's trying to subvert your household by taking advantage of you, especially spiritually, your spiritual walk. Go ahead.
"Teaching things which they ought not."
That's what goes on every Sunday, every Wednesday. Even a program on TV, they're teaching things which they ought not. You know why? They developed this in slavery. You familiar with that?
Yep.
How they wouldn't allow us to read, but they let certain passages be read in order to dictate our influences and do certain things. That's what happened. So after, what's that?
I said that's why, one of the main reasons why I don't participate.
Absolutely, it's powerful. But guess what? This Bible it still belongs to us. This Bible existed long before slavery. Right. And in all actuality, our ancestors wrote this Bible. That's why our history is found in the Bible, and we can prove it. Like I said, I want to get this out the way, but if you have any other questions, we can address that as well. But I want to get to the history and prove that you're an Israelite. Read.
"Teaching things which they ought not, for filthy lucre's sake."
For what?
For filthy lucre's sake.
For filthy lucre's sake. Lucre is money. They're teaching things, they're lying to you for money. The pastor got the best car in the house, right? Biggest house on the block. But guess what? All the congregation, they might be living paycheck to paycheck, might be behind on their rent, might be homeless, who knows? But guess what? It makes them feel good every Sunday to preach. They forget about all their worries when they walk into that Christian church. But guess what? Once they leave, they're back to square one, behind the ball, being oppressed, being not segregated, but what's the word I'm looking for? Deceived, like I said. But ultimately, our job is to learn the truth of the Bible, because the truth should make you free. That's what it says. Give me that in John 8 and 32. You holding something? What you got? Huh? Yeah, we can get that. Jeremiah 23. Where you at?
Genesis 49.
Hold that real quick. John 8 and 32, real quick. If you got a little bit of time, we can run it down to you. But give me 1 second. What's your name?
John 8 and 32. "And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free."
That's who the world calls Christ, is reiterating that statement. You believe in who the world calls Christ, Jesus Christ? You believe he existed, right?
I believe he existed.
Okay, great. That's a powerful thing. We believe that too. We can prove he existed as well. But give me what you have, and then we can move to the history part. Read.
Ezekiel 34 and 2. Son of
Like I
man.
wanted to reference, like I said, the truth shall make you free. I mean, you went free spiritually in your mind. Even if we're walking around to pay bills and might not be comfortable in our living situation, but the information as far as the spiritual truth is going to set you free and realize, hey, there's light at the end of the tunnel, that type of situation. You know what I'm saying? You give me that? And knowing who you are is powerful as well. Because in all actuality, us claiming to be Israelites is a dangerous thing, honestly. Because the government classifies what we're doing right now, just preaching the Bible and telling the truth about the Bible, what's going to happen to America, is considered terrorism in their eyes, literally. We're listed as future terrorists, verbatim, right now. You can look it up online in the Southern Poverty Law Center. What's the other one called? The ADL, which is the Jewish-run, white Jewish people classified as terrorists. And black supremacy. What? Black supremacy? Everybody up here isn't a shade of black. No, I'm not discolored. We're all brown and light skin, right? Black and brown coalition and Native Americans. Give me that.
Ezekiel 34:2, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy and say unto them, thus says the Lord God unto the shepherds.
Let's say it, the Heavenly Father, read.
Woe be to the shepherds of Israel that do feed themselves. Should not the shepherd feed the flocks?
Exactly. Should not the shepherd feed the flock? The pastor is the shepherd. We're considered the shepherd right now. You're part of the flock. You're one of the lost sheep that's coming back into the information. But a Christian church, all they care about is money. They're going to make you feel good till the cows come home. And at the end of the day, hey, pastor on the plate. You're looking at that plate, oh, it's not enough. Maybe he's talking on 10, 15 minutes. Sow a seed. Two months later, you might get $1,000 back. It's not gambling. It's crazy. That's not how it works. You're spending your hard-earned money every week in the Christian church with no return, no spiritual deposits, anything like that. It's just fiat currency that's going to the pastor's pocket to pad his lavish lifestyle. It's madness. But keep reading.
Ye eat the fat, and ye clothe you with the wool.
Exactly. You eat the fat, you take the goods, and you clothe yourself with the money. Read.
Ye kill them that are fed,
Kill them that are fed. Read. Because you feed them lies. Read.
but you feed not the flock.
You don't feed the flock with spiritual truth. That's what he's talking about. Read.
The diseased have you not strengthened.
Exactly. People come in there with all type of ailments, right? You pray them, put your hands on them. Next week they might die. Like, what happened? I thought you was praying on them. That's ridiculous. That's what happens all the time. I remember I was still going to church with my brother. Honestly, I think I might have been in the truth at this time, but maybe I was right before the truth. We went to this Christian church. Honestly, I don't give a damn about it. I'm just here, like, whatever, I'm just gonna go with them. They put their hands on these people. I'm like, man, this is all for show. First of all, the Bible tells you not to pray in public. Even though it's a congregation, it might be a little bit different, but this whole fiasco of just a display was like, why are they trying to fool me? Do you think somebody's gonna be healed just like that? No, it doesn't happen that way. Somebody has cancer, you can't pray over it and it'll be gone in a week. It doesn't happen that way, but it is practical information. But I'm just saying, them thinking that they can just put your hand on somebody and heal them in a day or a month, the Most High is going to dictate His judgment on you either way. If we pray a person or not and they die next week, what does that mean? That means your prayer didn't work. That means God already had in His plans to put that person to death, regardless of how we feel. We can't say nothing about it. We can't reply against God, right? It says that in the Bible as well. But keep reading this.
In the NLT it says, you have not taken care of the weak. You have not tended the sick nor bound up the injured.
Read.
You have not gone looking for those who have wandered away and are lost.
Exactly. The pastor don't look for nobody. They let everybody come into the building. They don't go outside searching people. They're out here like us. You came into us because I'm not sure why, but the Spirit led you here. Everything is of the Spirit of God. And God brought you here today. No matter how old you are, how long ago you've been thinking about this, the Most High brought you here for a purpose to learn. Give me that.
Instead, you have ruled them with harshness and cruelty.
Exactly. I don't know if you have YouTube, but after this, there's a YouTube page on there you can look at. The brother Deacon Akai was one of our leaders. He just put out a video of a pastor inside his congregation, a well-renowned pastor, probably making hundreds of thousands of dollars, going up to his choir member. I guess he played a wrong note. He picked up something and threw something at him in front of the whole congregation. Why would he do that? But why would you do that though? Oh yeah, then he slept with his best friend's wife. That's ruling over somebody with cruelty, like you said, exactly. And then on the flip side, you know, people coming to an altar for prayer. Like I said, prayer people is not going to do anything if you're in a Christian church. I'm going to be rude. So this lady comes to him in church. He puts his hand on her, and you know that the actual church people pass out and fall down, whatever. She didn't do that, right? Exactly, the fake Holy Ghost. So he goes, as soon as he says Jesus, he says it like twice. And then he looks at her like, why'd you come up here? Why are you locking your knees? Like, what do you mean locking my knees? Like, what are you talking about? I gotta unlock my knees to pass out when you touch me? It's theater. So he got mad at her for not falling down. So she's like, man, like go somewhere. Don't come up here if you're not gonna let me pray for you. Like, wait a minute. All you said was Jesus. So I'm supposed to just pass out and act like I'm healed? Like, no. That's the type of folly that goes on in Christian church. And the brother that is up here talking about he was in a Pentecostal church, but he didn't gravitate to it, which is it's not a problem because you just tell me the same testimony. The Christian church doesn't have our people's best interests at heart because it's created by the oppressor first and foremost. The doctrine, not necessarily the Bible, the theology that they teach. That's why you have to go to theologian school and learn from the white man. You got to be an ordained pastor, get a certificate through the white, be filtering yourself through the white man's his thought process to make us believe that we're Gentiles first and foremost when we're not. We're not the Gentiles. We're God's chosen people. You're God's chosen people. Marie is an Israelite from the tribe of Issachar. We can get that. Is that it? Let's get to the history. Where you at? Yeah, give me that.
This is Job 8:8. It says, "For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to search." So like it, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers.
Prepare yourself for the search of your fathers. We know your father's from Mexico, right? What about your grandfather? You met your grandfather?
My grandfather on my mother's side, I just know he's from Louisiana.
Oh, you say your mother's black though, right?
Yep.
So yeah, he's more than likely might be a Levite, which is powerful as well. But in this particular history, or the ethnicity of the Israelites, it's a patrilineal society, meaning you are who your father is. And even in science, you know what? Your father has a seed, and he impregnates the egg, right?
Yep.
So you are who your father is, literally. So your father's Mexican, you're Mexican. If obviously somebody had a black father, had a white mother, no matter what they say, oh, you're mixed, but no, you're black technically. So if you have a white father and anything else, you're white, no matter what you look like. Bob Marley is a white man, period. His father is white. He will be considered an Edomite, an enemy of God, no matter what he looks like, no matter what his message is. There's no feelings involved. The truth is the truth. Who else is white? Faith Evans, T and Tamara, they have white people, they have white fathers. Those are not Israelites. They can act black, talk black, whatever the case may be, those aren't our people. You can cheer for me, watch their movies, listen to their music, whatever, cool. But when it comes to salvation, it doesn't belong to them. But let me get this. Where you at? Yeah, and then you got Genesis? Yeah, give me that.
This is Genesis 49:1. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days.
Yeah, the last days, thousands of years later, because these are 12 sons. They came out of Egypt, or not come out of Egypt. This is before they went to Egypt. It was telling them what's going to happen to them as a people, in the future prophecy as a people. Tribal characteristics that we can recognize today to prove who we are. Read.
This is verse 14. Issachar is a strong ass.
Issachar is a strong ass. So we're telling you you're from the tribe of Issachar. What's an ass? You do know what it is.
Oh, an ass. A donkey?
Yeah, a donkey, right?
Oh, yeah,
Are there donkeys in Mexico?
Sure.
Plenty. Go ahead.
Couching down between two burdens.
Crouching down between two burdens. And this can go a couple different ways. Where is Mexico geographically?
As far as in like place?
Yeah, where's that? Read that again real quick.
It says, Issachar is a strong ass, couching down between two burdens.
Crouching down between two burdens. Where is Mexico in reference to that? What's the two burdens though?
America and whatever else.
South America.
Yeah.
Because it's still quote unquote South America, but it's not quite South America.
Right.
Because it's things southern like Guatemala, you know, all the South American countries, Brazil, Colombia, all that type of stuff. So it's kind of in between Central America technically. Go ahead.
And he saw that rest was good.
He saw that rest was good. What's another word for rest in Mexico? What they do in Mexico? You never been to Mexico, but have you
I
heard
don't
of
even speak Spanish.
Not a problem. It's just another oppressive language. Not a problem. It's a siesta. You know what a siesta, right?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
What takes place in a siesta?
My understanding, relaxing, good energy, you're around your family, your people.
Yeah, it's kind of like a midday rest. Like right now, it's like what, 3, 4 o'clock?
Yeah.
Let's say we're working from 9 o'clock till now. We take a rest, sleep during the middle of the day, finish our job maybe a couple hours later. That's what it's talking about. He saw that rest was good, read.
And the land that it was pleasant.
The land, it was pleasant. Mexico's a pleasant land. It has a lot of crops, agriculture, things like that. A lot of tourist attractions that the white man took advantage of. Go ahead.
and bowed his shoulder to bear,
Read.
and became a servant unto tribute.
And what do you think that means? He bowed his shoulder to bear. This is talking about Issachar verbatim. He bowed his shoulder to bear and became a servant unto tribute. What does that mean to you? I'm gonna explain it to you either way, but I just want to know what you think first.
Like he did what he could, and now he's trying to just serve and be there for his people.
Not necessarily. He bowed his shoulder to bear and became a servant unto tribute, meaning what? Not, I don't want to be stereotypical, but it's true. Mexicans come to the country, right? And they work for a very low wage to survive. Because they're more like maybe illegal or something like that. But guess what? That's how you become a servant to tribute, because you're working for money that normal people wouldn't work for. But it's more likely a lot of Mexicans do picking crops, things like that. They get paid under the table because why they have a whole bunch of family members they want to bring across the border and bring it to America for a better life that they think they have. Because Mexico is still poor, and if you don't have money in Mexico, it's probably hell in that particular place. I believe it. It's way worse than any type of American ghetto. I heard people think how bad America is. Mexico's 10 times worse than any other Central American, South American country. Where you at? Hold that. Where you at? Yeah, give me this first. Read.
This is 1 Chronicles
Hold
12.
on, give me Deuteronomy 33. Go ahead.
This is Deuteronomy 33 and 18. And of Zebulun he said, rejoice Zebulun in thy going out,
Read.
and Issachar in thy tents.
So Zebulun is another tribe of Israel, and Zebulun will be considered El Salvador. I think, what else? Who else is Zebulun? Guatemala. Yeah, Guatemala again. Where's the chart at? Yeah, Nicaragua. Like I said, right below. And what's right below Mexico? Guatemala, right?
Guatemala, and then
Yeah, what's connected to Mexico? That's Guatemala, right? Yeah, Guatemala. So Guatemala is connected to Mexico. That's like the first country after Mexico, the southern part of Mexico. So read that again real quick.
This is Deuteronomy 33 and 18. And of Zebulun he said, rejoice Zebulun in thy going out,
Rejoice Zebulun and not going out, read.
and Issachar in thy tents.
Issachar in thy tent. So what does that mean? Zebulun and Issachar are going to be living right next door to each other. Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, all other countries that's right in a row down in Central and South America. Yeah, exactly. And Central America is in Mexico. But this is written over 3,000 years ago. Show her a map of Israel real quick. You mind coming closer, sister? I don't want your minute to spoil, but it'll take a minute. Let me show you a map of ancient Israel and why we know this applies to in today's time, thousands of years later. Because it's like I said, it's a prophecy. You're familiar with prophecy, right? Prophecy is basically to say something before it happens, kind of like God ordained something. Like slave ships in the Bible. We don't get to that, but show her that picture. So if you look at Zebulun and Issachar on the map, Zebulun is landlocked. And we don't get another prophecy real quick, but you got that? So Zebulun and Issachar. Let me see.
Zebulun is purple, and Issachar's the red.
Okay.
Exactly. So technically, let me see. So technically, they can take this and be like, okay, well, this is talking about ancient Israel, but let's see why it's not. Read that.
This is Genesis 49 and 13. Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea.
Wait a minute. Zebulun, which we just seen on the map, is in the middle of land. There's no water by it. But it says here, it's going to dwell at the haven of the sea. Now, if we look at the American map, like I said, Mexico is by water. Guatemala, El Salvador, all Central South America is surrounded by water, right? What else is down there in Central America? Hold on, finish this real quick.
Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for an haven of ships.
Zebulun's going to be for a haven of ships. How old are you? 26. Oh, you're kind of older than that. So, what's down there in Central America as a haven of ships? Are you familiar? The Panama Canal. You familiar with the Panama Canal? Panama's right there. And they pretty much slaughtered all those Native Americans down there to build that canal. It's a man-made canal, but now it's what? It's a haven of ships down there. A lot of ships come from the Atlantic, across to the Gulf of Mexico, into South of Mexico to deliver things. But that's what it's talking about. So if you look at the map of ancient Israel, Zebulun is nowhere near water. So how can it be a haven of ships? It's not talking about this time frame. It's talking about in the future, which is right now. That's how we prove that, first and foremost, Zebulunites or the people in Central America, Guatemala, El Salvador, Panama, things like that. And Issachar is right below them. It says, hold on, read Deuteronomy 33 again. And this is where this comes into play, read.
Deuteronomy 33 and 18. And of Zebulun he said, Rejoice, Zebulun, in thy going out.
Rejoice, Zebulun, in thy going out, meaning what? When they leave their countries, read.
And Issachar in thy tents.
Issachar in thy tents, meaning what? Issachar and Zebulun will be right next to each other, just like in ancient times. Mexico is right next to Central America, El Salvador, all that type of stuff. It's just plain in the Bible. Obviously, we didn't learn this ourselves, but the history and archaeology and prophecy proved what we're saying is true. Do you agree with that information? Or does it make sense to you?
Yeah, it's making sense. I mean, y'all coming with
Information, right?
information.
Yeah,
I
proof.
can't help but to.
Yeah,
Okay,
hearken to it. All
that
praise to
makes
the
sense.
All praise to the Most High. What you got? What is that? Yeah, we can get that and then pull up that Mayan calendar and get some photos. He cuts photos first. Come get the Mayan calendar. Go ahead.
1 Chronicles 12 and 32. And of the children of Issachar,
Children of Issachar, which we're saying you are your ancestors, read.
which were men that had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do.
Read.
The heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their commandment.
Okay, so what does it mean to have understanding of the times?
Say that again?
Issachar had understanding of the times.
Like they know what's going on and they see what's gonna happen.
Something like that, but how do you understand times? Because back then there were no clocks, there were no calendars.
By the sun.
What else? You can tell time by the moon too. And what else?
I didn't know that.
The stars. Because the stars change during the seasons, right? You familiar with that?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay. Well, the sun is as hour by hour.
Right.
That's how the sun works. The moon is day by day,
Right.
which dictate the months. That's where you get the word month from, moon. That's what it means. And the stars, like I said, they don't change every day or every month. They change by season, so every 3 to 4 months. Like you see like the Big Dipper and the Small Dipper, Little Dipper and things like that. It rotates. Have you ever paid attention to that?
I have, but I just thought maybe I couldn't see it where I was.
Yeah, it rotates because it's changing by season. But where you at? Oh yeah, read this real quick and we can get that. Go ahead.
On Genesis 1 and 14, and God said, Let there be lights in the firmament of heaven,
The lights in the firmament is in the sky. The moon, stars, and the sun, right? Go ahead.
to divide the day from the night,
Divide the day from the night, which is the sun and the moon, read.
and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days and years.
That's how you tell time. The white man created a clock, which is not necessarily too far off, because it's only 12 hours of sun in a day for the most part, or less. But the dividing the day from night is still the sun and the moon. Bugged out. Moabite, Lord of Christ. Anyways, no, go back to Genesis 49. Oh no, give me what you had in Chronicles slot. Read that again real quick. give me the calendar for a slot. Give me the calendar. Yeah, so read this real quick, because the Aztecs had a calendar. You familiar with that? And the Mayans had a calendar. So understanding the times has nothing to do with any type of written calendar. Even though they did have a calendar, we don't get that. But that's what they used to tell time and stuff. And that's where they got their calendar from, the sun, the moon, and the stars. And God gave them that gift for being a child of Israel. Yeah, 1 Chronicles 12. Give me that. Read this again.
1 Chronicles 12 and 32, and of the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do.
Read.
The heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their commandment.
So back in ancient Israel, before we went to war, we didn't just go to war. Hey, we mad at these guys. Let's just ride on them. We didn't do that. We went to the priests. We went to the people that were seers or prophets. We asked, okay, ask God what he wants us to do. Then Issachar, okay, let's just see what's going on, when we're going to attack. Issachar looked in the sky and get some signs, because he had that gift from God. Even 2,000 years later, when he came to America, he was taking Ezra 13. When he came to America, that's how they got to America as well. We can prove that. All the way from the Middle East over here, back in 700 BC? That's 2,700 years ago, 2,800 years ago almost? We don't get to that in a second. Where you at? Let's talk about the calendar y'all made. Read.
The Aztecs used a sacred calendar known as Tonalpuhualli, or counting of the days.
Counting of the days, read. They didn't have to look in the calendar that the white man made to get this calendar. Go ahead.
This went back to great antiquity in Mesoamerica.
Ooh, wait, read that again.
This went back to great antiquity in Mesoamerica.
Great antiquity means what? Ancient times. Mesoamerica is where? Where's Mesoamerica? Mesoamerica.
Meso meaning middle Americas, the whole continent. So it would have been from Mexico to all through Central America.
This is before the white man came. This is before the white man came and conquered them. Conquistador, the damn Spaniard. Read.
It formed a 260-day cycle, in all probability originally based on astronomical observation.
What is that?
Astronomical observation.
What is that? What's astronomical observation? Of course, right out the Bible, right? So that's how you tell time in the Bible. So the Mexicans are the quote-unquote Aztecs. Do the same thing the Bible talks about. Why? Because they're people of the Bible. They're Israelites. You're an Israelite. Actually, those people are Israelites as well. That's how you tell time. That's how you know who the Israelites are. And there's more history than that. We're just using the practical information that we can just read right here. But give me that. Or give me Isaiah 6. And then, yeah, give me second Ezra first. Actually, hold on, I don't want to go to first. Yeah, give me this first. Give me this first. Have you heard of Quetzalcoatl? It's an Aztec deity, Aztec god. But we're going to read the description of him. Give me that.
Isaiah 6 and 2. Above it stood seraphims.
Seraphim. We're going to get definition of a seraphim as well. So read the whole thing first.
Let me get into it. Isaiah 6 and 2. Above it stood the seraphims. Each one had 6 wings.
Read from the top.
6 and 1.
She got a bad dose. Read.
It was in the year King Uzziah died that I saw the Lord.
Isaiah had a vision of the Lord in the heavens. Read.
He was sitting on a lofty throne, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Attending him were mighty seraphim, each having 6 wings. With 2 wings they covered their faces, with 2 they covered their feet, and with 2 they flew. And they were calling out to each other, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of heaven of armies.
They're worshiping the Heavenly Father, the Creator. Read.
The whole earth is filled with his glory. We're going into the Hebrew. The Hebrew word for seraphims, which are a certain type of angels, it's the Hebrew word 8314, which is seraph, which means fiery, a serpent or a fiery serpent.
Fiery serpent, a fiery flying serpent. We're going to get to it in a second and prove the point to how it correlates to the Mexican deity. Give me that.
So, Quetzalcoatl.
What's that? Oh, yeah, show it after we read this. Then you can pull up the one of the deity with the cross. Go ahead.
I got it. Quetzalcoatl, which is a feathered serpent.
Feathered serpent. Quetzalcoatl is a feathered serpent. Go ahead.
Or a plumed serpent. Is the Nahuatl name of a feathered serpent deity of ancient Mesoamerican culture.
Exactly. Go ahead.
In Mesoamerican myth, Quetzalcoatl is also a mythical cultural hero.
Culture hero, read.
From whom almost all Mesoamerican people claim descent.
They claim descendants of this particular deity. But obviously it's not physical. They just say claim to him. Kind of like that idiot was talking. Well, I don't know if you heard him.
I heard.
He's talking about he was a Buddhist monk. Like, what are you talking? Anyways, that's not his people. But at least you're still believing in the Bible, quote unquote, or God, which is still good because that's your people. But look at this picture actually. This is a picture of Quetzalcoatl. What would that look like? What would that look like to you? Who would that remind you of?
That looks like it's supposed to be
Jesus, right?
Trying to make, yeah.
Exactly. You got it already.
That's crazy.
Exactly. That's who they portrayed him. So they knew about who the world calls Christ. This is what they envisioned, and that's where they got it from. Exactly, in their ancient story, because like I said, they came from the Middle East. Obviously before Christ existed, but there's a history. We can get in there later, but there's history about. You gotta go soon.
Oh, I was actually finna get one of my partners to get her off the lot.
Oh, okay.
You gotta go. I know that y'all be out here
Yeah, we out here every Saturday.
every Saturday.
Every Saturday, it's all good.
It was good. You know, I really got it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Look into the information. Like I said, if you don't come by, there's plenty of YouTube videos, all that type of stuff. All praise to the Most High. You and Israelite from the tribe of Issachar, or Israelite from the tribe of Issachar. But let's just finish the information. What you have? Yeah, go ahead.
So this is a depiction of Quetzalcoatl while he's being crucified, being pierced in the side also, as it's stated in John 19:34. But one of the soldiers with the spear pierced his side, and forthwith came out blood and water.
Exactly. That's what it's portraying in that picture. That's cool. But give me that.
Second Ezra?
Yeah, give me second Ezra. Go ahead.
This is 2 Ezra 13 verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanazar, the king of Assyria, led away captive. And he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land.
So the 10 tribes pertain to Iscarites, Zebulunites, Simeonites, Manassites, all the 10 tribes of the northern kingdom, all came over here after the Assyrian captivity back in around 700 BC. So that's why we can correlate the northern kingdom tribes, obviously Issachar and Zebulun, as a focal point because that's the easiest to prove. But that's how we prove Israelites are from the Israelites, or excuse me, Mexicans are Israelites from the tribe of Issachar. Is that it? Keep reading.
But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
Exactly. Talking about America. America was never dwelt in an uninhabited land. Go ahead. But we already knew about it back in King Solomon's time when we used to send a navy over here to get goods and gold and things like that. Go ahead.
That they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood, so they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go.
Great way to go from Mesoamerica, or excuse me, the Middle East, pretty much. Read.
Namely, of a year and a half.
Took them a year and a half to get to America from the Middle East. Read.
And the same region is called ISRAELITE.
Exactly. And obviously history, the only oh, read it. Yeah, that's what I want to read.
So this is out of the Encyclopedia Judaca, which is the Jewish encyclopedia. The name of the land beyond the Great River.
Beyond the Great River, talking about the Atlantic. Read.
Far away from the habitation of men, in which the 10 tribes of Israel would dwell, observing the laws of Moses until the time of restoration, according to 4th Ezra, which is the
second Ezra, read.
Which is 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 45. Columbus identified America with this land.
Who identified what?
Columbus identified America with this land.
Columbus identified ours as America, verbatim. He read 2nd Ezra, came to the Americas based off what he read. So why would they think? First and foremost, a lot of OT-only idiots try to say 2nd Ezra didn't write this, but Columbus used it. If it wasn't true, if it wasn't accurate, how did a historical figure use the writings that weren't even quote-unquote written or a true book? Because a lot of OT-only brothers try to use that and make it seem like, oh, well, Christ quoted it, but wait a minute, 2nd Ezra isn't part of the canon because it's not true, and it proves Christ in 2nd Ezra as well. That's why they don't like it. But sidebar, our people wrote this. Ezra wrote it, a Levite, a powerful Levite actually, wrote it, and obviously it got burned and things like that. But it's in the what's it called, the Latin Vulgate, things like that, and it was translated from Hebrew in Latin Vulgate. But is that it? That's it. So America, our earth is known as America. Ours is in the 2nd Ezra, and that's how you prove the Northern Kingdom, the so-called Native Americans and Hispanics are Israelites in the Bible, man. But with that, I'm gonna close out. Give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh B'Shem Ashak Yahushai, and say Shalom.